The Cold War was a very tense time for the United States and the rest of the world. Nuclear proliferation dominated the news. Voice of America broadcasts, which began in the Second World War, continued with renewed urgency as confrontation with the Soviet Union and other communist governments escalated. One of the most innovative Voice of America projects was the planned development of truth ships, floating VOA broadcasting stations that were to be dispatched to all corners of the world. The only ship ever deployed was the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Courier. For 12 years, moored off the coast of Rhodes, Greece, Courier provided a steady stream of programs for millions of eager listeners behind the Iron Curtain. Many of the programs broadcast by the Courier into the Soviet countries came from right here at Bethany Station. The superpower shortwave transmitters and massive antennas beamed signals to the Courier antennas connected to helium-filled barrage balloons tethered to the ship. Those programs were rebroadcast by transmitters installed on board the ship. This exhibit is dedicated to all those who worked to make the Courier broadcast possible and ease tensions during the Cold War.
The island of Rhodes in the Mediterranean has a civilization dating back to antiquity. In the time of the Crusades, castles were built upon walls of more ancient cities. Today it has a modern port at which the ships of the world arrive and depart. Its fishermen still find life almost unchanged since the time of their childhood, but sometimes alien things do intrude, such as an American motion picture company with Anthony Quinn and Gregory Peck, actors on location for Carl Foreman's The Guns of Navarone motion picture, to be produced on the island. But even before Hollywood reached Rhodes, a strange type of ship had made port and settled down to stay. The Coast Guard cutter Courier, a cargo vessel converted to a mobile radio station, is located in the port to serve communications networks of the Voice of America. A crew of some 100 men and 10 officers manned the Courier. Aboard all Coast Guard ships, the chow provided is the best obtainable. Occasionally, visitors are welcomed aboard, as in this case, when my wife and son accompanied me. This is Gregory Peck speaking. Our visit to the Courier was a most interesting one. The ship's captain, George W. Stedman, met us and welcomed us aboard. This type of operation was entirely new to us, as it would be to most people. The only floating radio broadcasting station in the world, the Courier has handled as many as 17 different languages in her programs. At present, she broadcasts in 6 languages: English, Armenian, Turkish, Russian, Georgian, and Arabic. She can send and receive at the same time, using medium and shortwave transmitters. A familiar sight met us on deck. The vessel loaded down with our own motion picture production equipment, en route from our last location to a new one nearby. Hollywood production companies today travel all over the world. When broadcast time arrived, the chief requested permission to go on the air. Warning high voltage signs were put in place. Other vessels in the harbor were warned to stay clear of the immediate area through hoisting of international signals. During transmission, the Courier creates a tremendous electrical field. The ship's transmitting equipment of 150 kilowatts is 3 times more powerful than America's largest commercial stations. Radio programs on tape in various languages are transmitted on schedules so that audiences listening to the Voice of America may know when to expect them. Listeners in the North African areas received the program in Arabic. About 1/5 of the enlisted men aboard the ship are electronic technicians qualified to maintain and repair equipment. Such maintenance is a continuing requirement aboard this floating radio station. Sufficient power for radio transmission required by the Courier is provided in a separate area of the ship by turbines. Voice of America programs come in from Washington by shortwave radio for retransmission immediately. To the uninitiated, this may seem quite complex and technical. It did to me, as the Courier's captain explained it. But whether or not I understood, the crew of the Courier were doing their job well. This is an age of progress, a period of miracles of communication, when villages isolated for hundreds of years can hear on a portable radio the news of the world as it happens. To make this possible, men have placed electricity under control and harnessed it for their use with adequate protection against its forces. Many areas of the ship are hot with such invisible power during transmission periods. Civilian technicians assigned to the ship demonstrate this to some of the younger generation. And I confess I shared their feeling of unbelief that such a thing was possible. Power to bring light to fluorescent tubes from the atmosphere surrounding us. What a wide-ranging variety of fields the Coast Guard is engaged in, I thought, as we prepared to leave the ship. And a miracle of lighted tubes was not the only thing that this worldwide peacetime service possessed to interest and delight young men of America.